are the top 15 things that you may not know about the Christmas movies you love. Number 1. Gene Shepard, who wrote a series of short stories that the film A Christmas Story is based on, actually appears in the film. He's the one that tells Ralphie and Randy this.
The line ends here. It begins there.
Oh, no.
And that's actually his wife, Lee, right behind him. Number 2. A Charlie Brown Christmas was originally supposed to have a laugh track. Executive producer Lee Mendelson originally wanted the Charlie Brown Christmas special to feel something like the Flintstones.
Take the bus and leave the blast off to us.
But when he told Charles Schulz, who created the Peanuts characters, what his plan was, Schulz got up, left out of the room, and didn't come back for 10 minutes. When he came back, he acted like nothing had been said, and Lee Mendelson got the hint. There was never any more conversation about a laugh track in the Peanuts special. Number 3. Natalie Wood still believed in Santa when she filmed Miracle on 34th Street. She was only 8 years old when she made this movie, and she was wondering how things worked, but Edmund Gwenn, who played Santa Claus, really made a true believer out of her. She never saw him outside of his costume because he used to come in super early in the morning to get his beard and mustache put on by the makeup department. By the time she got to the set, he already looked like Santa. Everything changed when shooting ended and they had a wrap party. She finally got to see Edmund Gwenn looking like himself. She was thoroughly confused, and that was her first indication that Santa might not be real. Number 4. Ralphie's dad in A Christmas Story doesn't have a name. Some people have speculated that his name might be Hal because of this scene.
I want it.
Damn, Hal, you say you want it? Yeah.
But the neighbor isn't saying Hal, they're saying hell. Number 5. Jim Carrey was initially supposed to star in Elf. When David Berenbaum first brought the spec script for Elf to Jim Carrey in 1993, he agreed to star in it, but this was before he became Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. By the time production had finally gotten off the ground for the movie 10 years later, Jim Carrey had moved on and Will Ferrell was signed to star in it. Number 6. The How the Grinch Stole Christmas television special almost wasn't made because they couldn't find a sponsor. Nowadays, television studios and production companies almost always finance TV shows and specials. But back in 1966, when How the Grinch Stole Christmas was made, producers had to rely on corporate sponsors to get their funding. The Charlie Brown Christmas special, for instance, was financed by Coca-Cola, but How the Grinch Stole Christmas was turned down by 12 different sponsors. Breakfast foods, candy companies, no one wanted it. Finally, at the 11th hour, the Foundation for Commercial Banks agreed to finance the special, which producer Chuck Jones always found a little bit odd considering the special's anti-capitalist message. Number 7. 4 plot lines were cut from Love Actually. Director Richard Curtis originally wanted 14 love stories in the film. 2 were cut before the film was shot, and 2 more were cut in the editing room. Of the 2 that were cut before filming, one involved a girl in a wheelchair, and the other is about a boy who records a love song for his classmate who ultimately hooks up with his drummer. Now, the 2 that were shot that were cut for time, one of those was about an African couple supporting each other during famine. The other is about a school headmistress who reveals that she's been in a long-term relationship with a woman. Number 8. Director Tim Burton got the idea for A Nightmare Before Christmas from dueling holiday decoration displays. Tim Burton grew up in Burbank, California, where there really are no seasons, and he started to notice that Christmas decorations were being put up by department stores earlier and earlier in the year, to the point that they were infringing on the Halloween decorations, which created a very interesting aesthetic and gave him the idea for the film. Number 9. The figurines used to make Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer were rediscovered on the Antiques Roadshow in 2006. Well, Santa and Rudolph were anyway. A woman that worked for the production company that made the film had had them in her attic since the 70s. She had even let her children play with them over the years. Rudolph had lost his nose and Santa had lost his eyebrows. Her nephew sold them after he told their story on the Antiques Roadshow, and they're now on display at the Center for Puppetry Arts. Number 10. In 1947, the FBI decided that It's a Wonderful Life was, quote, communist infiltration of the motion picture industry. Mostly because the film's message was viewed as anti-capitalist because of Lionel Barrymore's character, Mr. Potter. The FBI noted that he was supposed to be a Scrooge type who was the most hated character in the film. And according to the FBI, this was a common trick used by communists to turn people off to capitalism. Number 11. A Charlie Brown Christmas special was the beginning of the end for aluminum Christmas trees. Aluminum Christmas trees, which were introduced in the late 50s, were at the height of their popularity by the mid-60s. But in A Charlie Brown Christmas, Charlie Brown refuses to get a fake tree. And suddenly those aluminum trees weren't so popular anymore. They were almost entirely phased out by 1969. Number 12. In Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, when Steve Martin's character Neil is contemplating his decision to abandon Dell, John Candy's character, Steve Martin didn't realize he was being filmed. Director John Hughes kept the cameras rolling between takes. Steve Martin was thinking about his next lines in this scene. John Hughes thought he had a beautiful expression on his face in this unguarded moment, so he used it. Number 13. The original Grinch was not green. The Grinch originally didn't have a color. In the original 1957 book, the Grinch is black and white, just like all the other characters. When Theodore Geisel, who is Dr. Seuss, agreed to let them do an animated version in 1966, they had to agree on what color he would be, since all the networks were changing over to color from black and white. Theodore Geisel didn't want any color added to the character initially. Animator Chuck Jones drove out to La Jolla in San Diego, where Geisel lived, to talk to him about developing the character for TV. He drove out to meet him in what he described as a sickly green rental car, and they both decided that that's the color that the Grinch would be. Number 14. The tarantula that Kevin put on Marv's face in Home Alone was, in fact, real. Actor Daniel Stern agreed to do this, but only for one take. What wasn't real is the decidedly effeminate scream he lets out. If he had let any sound out, he would have frightened the spider and ruined the take. So he mimed the scream, and they dubbed the sound in later. And number 15. Whitney Houston initially had no interest in starring in The Preacher's Wife. First of all, because the character seemed like a dowdy housewife to her, and that was just something she couldn't identify with. Secondly, she didn't like the fact that the character was married to a good guy. According to Whitney, she never went for characters like that in her dating life. She always preferred bad boys. But she finally read the script a second time and realized that she actually did have a lot in common with the character. Both she and her character had a really strong faith, they loved their children, and they respected the sanctity of their marriage. Whitney appreciated the fact that the character Julia stayed loyal to her husband, considering who the other option was.
The top man himself.
Now that's what I call good looking.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining us here for Get Into It with Taz and Chris. We have our resident favorite ginger back.
I'm back.
Okay. And I'm gonna try not to sneeze through the whole episode.
It happens.
Yeah. Now, before we get into it, a couple of quick recaps from today. Bernie Sanders has finally spoken up in support of Palestine, and he has condemned Israel for what they have been doing to Palestinian children and civilians. Now, you over there sneezing?
Copycat.
Don't get mad at me. I didn't make you sneeze. And today, the House passed a vote 221 to 212 to begin an official impeachment inquiry. It is an inquiry into Biden. Now, the GOP did completely vote united for the inquiry, even though there were members of the Republican caucus of the House that claimed that they weren't going to do that. It was led by Speaker Johnson, who had previously publicly opposed partisan, politically motivated impeachments. You know, when Trump was being impeached.
Yeah, right.
So.
Yeah, and it's just an inquiry into who knows what, because they have no direct anything. So, yeah, I was watching some of the captions that they had, and yeah, they had no direct specific charge or event, or they just said, we're going to look into things. So clearly we know where this is going and what it means. You know, this is a Jim Jordan production.
Jim Jordan and Comer. And the most notable points of today, I do have chronicled for y'all over on TikTok, but they have nothing.
Yeah.
They have buckets.
Right. This is all going to feed into the election cycle. Like, look, there was something on, but look, he was investigated. People should question that, because they're banking on the fact that they know, on their side at least, a lot of people only do headline research. We're only feeding off headlines. They're not looking into what ended up happening, or what ended up. They're just looking at whatever gets put out there by their whatever sources. And yeah, they're just looking for this to go into the election year as this was something investigated on Biden.
And this is also why Hunter Biden is like, nope, I'm not meeting with you all behind closed doors.
Right.
And they're like, release the transcript. And Biden called because we've watched them do it time and time again. They never released the full transcripts. They released excerpts. And the way they contextualize the excerpts, you're going to look guilty.
Right. Yeah.
Even if they ask you, well, what time is it right now? And you go, oh, it's 9:12. Oh, so it was 9:12 when you stole the money. What?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a complete control of the narrative to put out there to, like I said, people that really just hang on the words of people that they believe in. So there's not much you can do about that because we know what their media sources, their outlets, what they promote. And it's basically just a bunch of, you know what? So, yeah. So this will be quite a circus. It'll probably be entertaining for some, but it's a waste of time and everything.
And we still don't have a budget. Second CR that they put in, part of it expires in January, part of it expires in February, I believe.
Yeah.
They're on vacation again next week. They have more breaks than kids in school.
Yeah. I need some of that break. But yeah, it's like I said, there's no hard legislation. There's no, hey, let's get back to some real business. No, it's the total reverse of the total opposite of we have an agenda that we're trying to follow. You know, we have, you know, we're the Q party. So yeah. Yep.
And we've got news coming in from Mr. He just can't shut the fuck up. And no, I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about Rudy Giuliani. And coming from the Business Insider, because we know today is day 3 of Rudy being in court, Rudy Giuliani caused $47.5 million in reputational damage to 2 election workers he defamed. Expert testifies at trial. Here are the cliff notes. A reputation expert testified about what it would cost to repair reputational damage to 2 election workers. Rudy Giuliani falsely claimed they manipulated election results and called them criminals. The expert testified that falsehoods may have reached up to $250 million, and it would cost nearly $50 million to run a quote-unquote corrective campaign.
Okay.
You know, now that I know that there are reputation experts, I think I might need to call 1 or 2 because there's some folks that love to talk shit about me online. I want that they are poor. I don't know.
Yeah. We know how Rudy operates. I mean, just ask his kids. You know, yeah, it's kind of like talking to the Conway kids or something. You know. You know, it's pure entertainment. Like I'm just waiting for like some docuseries or something.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Surviving Rudy. And I feel
how about is there Surviving Kellyanne?
In a land in the corner of New York City, for the man that everyone thought was a prolific attorney, but really does not understand the law, the man, the myth, the troll, the left testicle of Donald J. Trump, Rudy Giuliani.
The cameo of Borat, Rudy. Oh, there's just so many characters. It's we laugh a lot, and the sad thing is, it's real. Like
it is.
This isn't Hollywood. Like this is real. Like these are people that actually are influencing a portion of our society. Like now, it's the unhinged society.
All of you uber Christian moms, you moms against everything from the 80s and 90s that put into everybody's head that human beings were supposed to imitate art, and you started with the movie California with the K, this is the end result. This is the end result. We no longer have art imitating life. We legitimately have life imitating art. People put the craziest stuff out there, and people are like, "Oh, hold my beer! I can do better than that." And here we go. And speaking of stuff from the 80s and 90s, whatever happened to Mad and Sad? You know, students against drug driving and moms against drug driving. Did they all die? Where'd they go? I ain't seen a good DARE program. Well, DARE just taught everybody about how to get drugs and how to take drugs. It did not do what they thought it was going to do.
Yeah. I mean,
everybody that was in the DARE program is at least tongue kissing Mary Jane on a regular basis. That did not go how y'all thought it was going to go. But y'all kept telling us where to get the drugs, how much the drugs would cost, how to get the money out of our parents.
I remember back in the day when what was huge was the music censorship. If you remember when,
from Chipper.
Yeah, right, and how that was so huge because now everything was going to get labeled. That's like water. That's like a diet drink compared to what we're seeing with banned books and burning books. And
it put things on the radar of kids that nobody was thinking about at the time, because I remember, and I was like, why is that a big deal? Like, it piqued everybody's curiosity, because it was like there were artists, there were things that none of us knew existed. Now we did. And the stores, the stores with everything that was like explicit, they pushed to the front. So the stuff you didn't want us to know about, guess what we do? Just like their war on woke and protect children. You're the one constantly talking about sexuality in front of them. These kids weren't worried about that until now they got to hear you arguing and screaming and yelling about somebody's undercarriage every 5 seconds. Like, if you would just let it go, these kids wouldn't know nothing.
I mean, when that came out, it was like initially they went more or less straight to hip hop artists and comedians, records and stuff.
And I'm like, what kid, what even teenager is buying a comedy album?
But then it became when Walmart stepped in and said, all our stuff's going to be clean. I remember that. And they said they weren't selling anything explicit. So they had all edited whatever from artists. Basically radio tracks. And yet here we are with actual real book banning, burning of books.
And see, back then, what they opened up and let people know that there were different versions of songs, because we didn't have satellite radio and internet radio and streaming services. When you found out about a song and you decided you liked the song, that's all you knew was the radio version, because we couldn't get into clubs to hear the explicit version. We didn't know. So we didn't know to ask for it. We didn't know to look for it. Even late at night on stuff, you couldn't get it. Then all of a sudden, we're like, there's different versions of it. Then all of a sudden, people started discovering the late night video shows where they was getting raunchy. None of us were thinking about. I'm like, y'all don't realize how much you opened your eyes to stuff.
The explicit label basically sold. Like it actually, instead of, we got, probably the early day, Karens and Mothers Against Society or whatever. That actually is what made these things fly off the shelves. Was the explicit label, because what are they? How much cursing is on this one?
Yeah, and you became real popular if you were the one that had the explicit version.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wanted the diet version from Walmart, but that was back then. We didn't have all the YouTube, and you actually had to find videos.
See, this is why I say rich people don't know how regular people live. A lot of times rich people think that because they have something and they were severely overcharged for it, the rest of us didn't have it. We had dual cassette decks. So if your parents had a cassette of it, or if you had the stereo with the dual cassette tape deck CD player and you could record it while your parents were at work. You could record the whole thing, start to finish, and you have a copy in your pocket.
Right. Yeah. Like you always had some blank cassettes to make stuff, make mix tapes, make whatever you wanted.
They were only what, $3 for like a pack of
people,
fours?
People to get certain songs, you'd have to wait till you have to sit around, wait for it to pop up on a radio and hit record. I mean, people were doing what they had to do back then because there weren't a lot of other sources for this stuff. I mean, just to watch certain videos, you'd have to wait for certain programs to come on at night.
And for people who wonder why I'm so good at recording the news, I was born in 1977.
We're just
if I could catch a song from start and finish on the radio and I can't even see it and I can barely hear, I can see the news.
We're 70 babies. Things are just, like I said, when we grew up in an era where we remember a lot about
that. He's older than me, though. I'm just
all within the same decade.
He older than me, though, y'all.
I may have been towards the beginning of the decade, and someone else was later, but you know, give or take, a few years, whatever. But like I said, when you grow up and the things that you remember in your teenage years were mostly the 80s and into the 90s, we were around prior to the World Wide Web and everything that went with it. The early days of chat rooms was your social media chat rooms. You had dial-up internet. You had a lot of these things
and BlackBerry Messenger.
People pre-BlackBerry, you had no smartphones. You had phones with plastic antennas because it was analog, and you had phones that beeped every minute to let you know.
Our own language for texting, because
people had phones that you had long distance service. Remember the long distance services that we had? You called after 9 at night. It was cheaper after 9.
And a lot of people originally got cell phones to avoid having to pay long distance services. And it's funny because there was a lovely woman that I worked with way back when I had a boss who had a crush on me, who was like senior management at the company that I was working. And she left the company to take a position with MCI. And legitimately 6 months later, nobody was getting MCI anything because you could just go. This is a time where you could go to Radio Shack and pay $20 and get a cell phone, even if you just wanted to make long distance calls after 7 o'clock.
Nowadays, people don't realize that cell phones weren't just one rate. And the one rate is what killed the landline, period. Because everyone's like, why am I paying for two things? I can do everything.
What's funny is we went from affordable cell phones to society getting ridiculous and allowing themselves to be duped. And I've said this before, but let me say it again. Every major carrier has a prepaid service. Y'all want to make fun of these people with prepaid phones? Guess what? For a fraction of the cost, they're getting everything that you're getting. Everything.
They still have to use the same towers. They don't have separate.
It's every major company. And think about it. You're making fun of them, but cell phone service is prepaid by nature. That's why they're quick to cut your phone off if you don't pay it, because you're not paying for the previous month. You're paying forward.
Yeah.
It's just like rent. You're paying forward. You're prepaying.
Yeah.
So why go out and spend $200 to say you got AT&T? AT&T has a prepaid service. T-Mobile has a prepaid service.
Yeah.
Like, just like, and it kills me because you could legitimately, like I said, walk into their cell phone stores at pretty much every corner, or go to legitimately Radio Shack between $20 to $40, get a cell phone, get a card, get your little minutes or whatever. And most people, everybody knew outside of an emergency, send a quick text, or y'all talking over the weekend or after 7 o'clock.
Right. And hit, like when I moved here, which we didn't have back in the DC area, the big thing down here was cricket, because you didn't have contracts. Now the phones they made, were priced higher, but people didn't want contracts. So you want to get out of it in case, for whatever reason, financially, hey, I just need to whatever. You didn't have to pay some, penalty. So
for a while, your local telephone companies also offered cell phone plans. And you could even go to a gas station and get a phone. And once again, get a minute card or whatever and use up those minutes. And then for some reason, people were like, but I have this phone. So, I should get a con. And what they did was attach payment plans for your phone, like as a damn car, to the contracts to lock you in. And I'm like, y'all, you can still, there's still corner stores. There's still cell phone stores. You go, because their phones are unlocked. Go get the phone from there and slide your SIM card into it.
I remember when these gas stations and all that corner stores were loaded with the international phone cards. I remember, just a wall of different cards. Some were better than others. Some gave you more minutes. Oh my goodness, because I know
the scammers of today need to learn from the MySpace, AOL chat room scammers, because there were guys and girls that were racking up phone cards because they would have boyfriends and girlfriends all over the globe because you didn't have to physically send it to them.
Right.
As long as you gave them the number.
Right.
And there were folks racking up, and there were people reselling numbers.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So anyone that might be watching that is not from that time. Yes, you're welcome for allowing us to take you back in time and basically showing our age. So yeah. A little bit.
I'm just a baby.
Just a ginger.
So, okay. We got sent a video. Neither one of us have seen it. We have not watched it. The person that sent it just said, hey, Matt Gaetz is getting trolled. So
ooh, mystery.
Let's take a look at Matt Gaetz getting trolled. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
It's not Elon. Okay.
Elon's coming up later.
Yeah.
Matt Gaetz, we have an award for you. My name is Michael. I'm with the Strongsville GOP. The 2023 Strongsville GOP Award. Thank you. Congratulations for your dedication using Venmo to allegedly paying underage girls to have sex with you. You're so full of it. Thank you all so much.
Now, that right there, folks, is what we call an American patriot. The way that Matt Gaetz' face goes from such pride to, oh man, come on. I can't help, however, but feel like I've seen him before.
You probably know me as Dildo Schwaggins. There are things happening in the world and trolls have to come together. Could we do it? Could we troll an entire country?
If we all work together? Maybe.
In case you didn't hear what the gentleman said, he said, congratulations on paying underage girls to have sex with.
Oh, goodness. Man. And I thought it was going to be, the Emperor of Florida or somebody, the man with the white boots. Darn it.
These boots are made for Rogan. And I don't care what that man says. He is not getting his boots in the right size because the front of them boots curl up. And anybody who wears heels, the front of your heels will curl up. Okay. Like you represent the Lollipop Guild. All right. Like you are an extra from the Wizard of Oz if you get the wrong. But that man, and did y'all notice that the man talking was holding a camera? I can't wait for his footage to come out because when they came up trying to like hurry up and get him away. Oh, baby.
That was too easy though, because with Matt Gaetz, it's kind of like he's not receiving anything. So for the fact that someone is trying to give him something excited him.
In Ohio,
It
First of
excited
all,
him.
if I'm doing something in Ohio, your girl ain't far. Why didn't I get an invite? I would have thanked him.
I think Cameron intercepted your mail.
I think he's always intercepting my mail.
Little weasel.
Well, I wasn't allowed to go to the inauguration weekend. Not because of Andy Brashear, but there are some members of the GOP that were going to be there to give their congratulations that I'm not allowed to be around them anymore.
Darn it.
I mean, you spray somebody down with Lysol and call them COVID-19 a couple times. They don't seem to like that very much. I thought it was funny.
The Commonwealth is just... But then again, you're neighbors with another reddish state. Yeah, there's interesting people up there in the OH state.
Yeah, we'll say interesting. Yeah, we'll say.
Yeah, we'll keep it family friendly. Yeah, you're surrounded. But then again, look at the state I'm in. They have a super majority down here that is just like mind-boggling. Like, what are we doing? Like, we can't get nothing done because of, people elected and then flipping parties. It's like, what are we getting done? The governor's not even part of that. It's like, okay, great, we're at a standstill. Nothing's getting done except for gerrymandering.
And that's the thing. That is the thing. The GOP has fought so hard for all of these majorities and super majorities, and they're doing nothing with this power. No, absolutely nothing.
It's just to have the power. And unfortunately, when they actually want to use it, it's to turn back the clock on this country. And hey, guys, let's go back to the 50s when things were not good for everyone. Oh, but they were good for certain people. So let's go back to that. And yeah, the gerrymandering now the latest going on up in New York with the map, the GOP map.
Yeah, that might
they're going to be up in arms when it's kind of like, really, guys, all over this country, you've been doing this since Trump lost, is trying to change voting districts, and now you're going to get mad at New York.
And here's the thing. This is what's always boggled me. How New York has red districts.
Yeah.
Because I know what people say on the internet, but when you actually go anywhere in New York and actually talk to the people,
yeah,
I'm like, do you know you're not Republican? Do you hear yourself?
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, New York's always thought of as New York City, being New York is flat out blue, go blue, we're blue. But if you head upstate in New York, ooh, you're gonna see some very red people. Yeah. It's a big state. People forget. Look on the map. New York's a big state.
Upstate is where they had a lot of the OG suburban areas.
Yeah.
And that mentality stayed. But even still, when you talk to them long enough, I'm like, I don't think those words mean what you think those words mean. I don't think that's gonna go for you the way that you think it's gonna. You think that's gonna hurt me? No, I'm gonna go home tomorrow. That's gonna hurt you.
I'm gonna go sleep at night. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we were sent a movie trailer because we do talk about movies and TV shows. Once again, no, we do not know what it is.
Mystery.
So
let's roll it. Let's roll it and go.
Let's go.
19 states have seceded.
The United States Army ramps up activity.
The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance.
The three-term president assures the uprising will be dealt with swiftly.
Let me know if you want to try anything on.
Are you guys aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America?
We just try to stay out. With what we see on the news, seems like it's for the best.
Citizens of America, the so-called Western forces of Texas and California have suffered a very great defeat. at the hands of the United States military.
Mr. President, do you regret the use of airstrikes against American citizens?
We're moving to D.C. today.
You need to go down there.
They shoot journalists on sight in the Capitol. Every instinct in me says this is death. Bloody.
Every time I survived the war zone, I thought I was sending a warning home. Don't do this. But here we are.
There's some kind of misunderstanding here. What? Well, you're American, okay?
Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
The Western forces will reach the White House on July 4th.
Oh my God.
Get in the car! Get in the car!
Move, move, move!
You're gonna hang back.
I'm not hanging back.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go, 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 go!
God bless America.
I knew it was definitely fiction when they said California and Texas joined forces. But hey, the Fotriots, the fake patriots, finally get their fan fiction on the big screen because that's.
Oh, they're probably cheering that trailer, except for there'll be those that try to put this on the liberals as look what they're trying to point out. But there are many that are probably applauding that we saw some of them on January 6th.
Well, here's the thing. This is a tactical move. I don't know how long this movie has been in the works because we have had an actor strike, a writer strike, all this stuff. Yeah. This is very, very tactical because is this in good taste to release it right now with multiple wars, multiple genocides happening across the globe right now that the United States is funding? Absolutely, positively not. But it's tactical. It is tactical. They know that they're salivating at the mouth because they're like, we could go up against the government. We could beat the government. We the man. Don't take my guns. Guns. And because they're talking about it so much, they're going to allow these people to cosplay in their mind being at war so that they will be okay with continuing to fund war.
Right. And look at when it's coming out. Spring.
Mm-hmm.
That's very big on the whole upcoming political trails.
Right before the Iowa caucus.
Right. So, yeah.
And they're going to take
coming out by A24, which A24 does put the more. Usually, they dip a lot more into the horror, sci-fi.
My birthday, because y'all out here cosplaying this shit. Fuck up my birthday with this shit. Because y'all fucked up one birthday of mine when I lived in Cincinnati and y'all decided to riot and we got put on lockdown because of that shit. Fuck up my birthday. Fuck
No, up. I think it stays out of the tourist zone. I think it does.
No, it comes out on my birthday. It legitimately does. I saw it in the beginning.
Oh, I thought
just my birthday.
I thought it just said spring.
Fuck up my birthday.
Yeah, it doesn't belong in the tourist zone. Because tourists.
Fuck up my birthday. I will find every terrorist organization's phone number and I will put you on their mailing list. I promise you I will. I will tell them that you want to join them. I kid you not.
They probably will in the Commonwealth. There'll be an early release in the Commonwealth. Yeah. They'll hold off a little longer.
You make a Taz movie. First of all, it would be a very confused. It would have to be a series because we'll have to have one with just me and Miss Miriam, and another one with my kids trying to kidnap me. It would a Taz movie would be.
Okay.
with a lot of time spent in the archives of the library. Which
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a ghost keeping me company down there at this point.
And then there'd be Puppers.
Fuck him.
You know.
He ate my pepperoni earlier, and he wanted to ignore me. Fuck him. We beefing.
Okay. Well, truce is over.
Yeah, truce is definitely over when he ate my pepperoni.
Yeah, I can't do that. Man, he should lose his joy privileges. Yeah.
He did. I put headphones on and played her on the computer. You should have seen him scrambling between the two TVs trying to look for her.
Yeah. Probably about to pee himself.
Pretty much. Okay, you guys, if you have not heard the news, this news warms my heart because I don't know who ever decided to trust and buy anything from Elon Musk, but hey, you live and you learn, or some of y'all never learn. There's been a Tesla recall, y'all. Take a look.
Breaking news as Tesla is recalling nearly all of its vehicles sold in the US. Yes, that's nearly 2 million cars, and this comes after an investigation that found at least 8 serious accidents, including some fatalities, in which the autopilot feature should not have been engaged in the first place. Tesla's owner manual says that auto steer is intended for use only on highways and limited access roads with a fully attentive driver. But Tesla has constantly pushed the idea that its drive assist feature also allows cars to safely make most driving decisions even off of those roads. Although an investigation found that numerous accidents over the past years have dismantled that idea. And a safety regulator said that in certain circumstances when auto steer is engaged, the prominence and the scope of the feature controls may not be sufficient to prevent driver misuse. And it basically said that when a driver is not fully engaged and ready to take control of the wheel at any second, there is an increased risk of an accident. And to combat this, they're going to have an over-the-air software update that's going to give Tesla drivers more warnings when they're not paying attention to the road with the auto steer function turned on. This will increase routine checks that a driver is paying attention, and it'll also turn off the feature when a driver is not. As always, I'll keep you guys updated and follow for more news.
I mean,
I don't know about you, but when I was learning how to drive, I was taught to be alert, not to be distracted. All these because things on the road can change in a split second.
Yeah, like other drivers.
Drivers, pedestrians, depending on where you're at, kids, animals, all sorts of stuff. And that's also why I've never understood
bag of trucks.
Why it's okay to have cars at a height where you can't see a pedestrian, and a lot of times you can't see another car on the road.
Yeah. But this is a guy that wants to go to the moon.
He can go by. Go ahead, send it.
So hey,
He should take like they did with the Chicken of the Sea earlier this year. Put him in there. Give him a Logitech controller and some batteries. Actually, don't even give him the batteries out of somebody's remote. Somebody, Meemaw's remote. Go get her batteries from 1962. You know she got the same batteries that she been rubbing with aluminum foil and putting in and out the refrigerator and the freezer to keep them fresh because she said she ain't about to get a man no more of her money to buy some new batteries. Go get her batteries and give it to him. They go to space on that.
Yeah. And just like for anyone that saw the recent Netflix movie, which is, I think, still number one, Leave the World Behind, Tesla was in it. And it's interesting how all this recall came out right around the time of the height of this movie on Netflix. And once again, we've been saying this from the beginning. Teslas aren't all that. Like, where the hype came from, I don't know. It was just something that was new on the market, and somehow it caught on to some younger individuals in society. And next thing you know, people are like, oh, you got a Tessie. And they didn't look at the fact that these things were going up in smoke and flames, going off the road.
Well, even they were constructed, because I've seen so many people pissed off that because for the longest time, you couldn't just go into a dealership and drive off. You had to customize yours, and they would get it, and the craftsmanship was shoddy. And I'm like, and you kept the car? Because I surely would have taken it back. Like, where my money?
Right. Yeah.
Just kept doing. And what also boggles my mind, why would you buy a car where every place in the United States doesn't even have a place for you to charge your car?
Yeah. Yeah, we're clearly not there. And even if you do, how long are you willing to wait for a charge? Because this isn't like pumping gas. You can just pump and go. A charge takes time, and they don't have all these quick charge pumps out there. It's just not there.
Yeah, because they finally put some down here where I am, but they attached it to like it's kind of this super center is kind of like the in between Target and Walmart. So you might be in there doing grocery shopping, doing some other shopping, but even still, if you're like, oh well, they can just shop. Well, how are they supposed to break down their shopping to get a good enough charge?
Right.
Because they're gonna have to come back this week, depending on how much driving they do.
Right.
Like, and how well are you doing for the environment? Because all of the mechanisms for these cars you need to get from Congo that's utilizing child slave labor to get this. So what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I can tell you who won't be doing anything for anytime soon. Coming from the Associate Press Sports, because y'all know we had to talk about sports before we get out of here. Warrior star Draymond Green suspended indefinitely by the NBA. I'm going to tell you, I was wondering how long it was going to take for this to happen, but Golden State Warriors forward Draymond Green was suspended indefinitely by the NBA on Wednesday, less than 24 hours after he hit Phoenix Suns center.
Say it. Just say Nurkic, his last name.
Okay, he knows why I'm laughing because I always struggle with this name.
Yusuf Nurkic.
It always sounds like not his name. It sounds like okay, there we go. Because it always sounds.
You made him sound French.
Say it.
Sound French.
Yeah, in the face and received a flagrant 2 foul and ejection. The league said the penalty handed down by operations chief Joe Dumars begins immediately. This is already Green's second suspension this season. Why did I think it was more?
Third. I believe it's his third.
Okay, I thought so. All right. Okay.
That's what I heard this morning, at least.
Yeah, okay. All right. I wasn't tripping. He will be required to meet certain league and team conditions before he returns to play. The league said, hey, NFL, see how quickly they handled this? You don't let somebody get like 67,000 accusations and 47 charges and then 16 lawsuits before you suspend them.
Yeah. Let's suspend the guy that hurt Joe.
Expeditiously.
Yeah. We don't mean Joe Mixon either.
Oh.
The other Joe.
Joe Cool. Joe.
That one. Yes. Money Man Joe. Why should we? I mean, now I know, and we've had this discussion has been since last season about how Golden State has been hanging on to this core three with Clay, Steph, and Draymond, and basically how much longer is that core going to be held by Golden State before they decide, hey, we just need to make changes like from this core group. Clearly they do. This year they're struggling again. They're just playing average basketball. And here we go again with Draymond. And a lot of people are just saying to Golden State, how much longer are you going to run with this? We know what people have done in the past, and sometimes teams are reluctant to use the dreaded rebuild word, but at some point you have to make changes. And if that means a couple of down years until you get the right pieces in place, you do it for the longevity of the franchise.
And Golden State should be used to it. It's not like they haven't rebuilt before and had to build it back up. They were able to do
remember,
it. I mean,
their GM, Bob Myers, who put together all of the Golden State glory, left.
Yeah.
He's now in the studio doing pregame. And a lot of people believe that there was an override of his decision making when he probably presented the idea that some changes probably going to need to be made for longevity. You don't wait till the ship is sunk to decide we need to patch it up and bring it back to life. You do it ahead of time. You're proactive, not post-active. So I do believe there's some things going on. There's been talk about Steve Kerr. If it's a rebuild, he may just step down. He's already been talking about it. He's had some health things at times. There could just be a total rebuild, which may only leave probably Steph as the remaining star, because he's Steph and he's all about Golden State to the fans and everyone until he retires. I don't see Steph going anywhere. But Clay, Draymond, anyone else, I believe that they're probably going to have their hand forced to make changes. And a lot of people want the Draymond move sooner than later, which it's not so much what you do on the court, it's availability. Are you actually staying on the floor? Are you playing the games? Are you not getting suspended? Because we see how they do with or without them. But what's the point if you haven't learned how important the team needs you available? And you're just doing this stupid.
Draymond just needs to retire. Draymond,
it's just you're not doing anything but hurting the team. Like
Draymond he needs to go join the world of MMA or WWE. Something I don't know.
It's foolish. You can't keep saying I was caught up in the heat of the moment after X number of straight years doing the same things. At some point, you just don't get it. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to be able to fix what you've been doing. And nobody can point the finger and say it was always the other guy. We have eyeballs. We see the film. We have video. These other guys are just there. They're guarding him or whatever. They're not throwing cheap shots at him. He's going off. I mean, the one yesterday, it was just, or the night before, it was just ridiculous. Like, he's saying he came out to try to actually apologize, saying that he had no intention. The flailing of the arm was clearly in a direction. Your arm looked like it was trying to land something. Maybe not your fist, but your arm looked like it was trying to connect with somebody who was right next to you. Who are you trying to? We hear this every time. He's suspended.
Yeah, he never means to do anything. I wish he would mean to retire. Just go. He could become a professional pillow fighter, which is a thing I learned, which is odd. It's okay. He could get into that professional smack the shit out of each other league, or join MMA. Dude, go wrestle, Draymond. Just the NBA ain't for basketball, ain't for you. Okay, you need a contact sport. Go play hockey, Draymond.
Maybe you could play
hockey.
Could he replace Barry Larkin?
Jesus Christ. I'll listen to SpongeBob.
That would add some spice to the Reds games.
And make it spicy.
I mean, he may not know much about the game, but who knows?
It started.
Comes a long way. It'd be like, that's a long way from Mark Shot.
And boy, did she keep Cincinnati interesting.
Yeah, that's Cincy. Go Bearcats.
Not in her big old not German Shepherd, Saint Bernard Shotzi.
Yeah.
Now my brain is just full of a lot of interesting information. But
yeah, go Bearcats.
Final thoughts on the night?
I thought it was awesome that we're back. But yeah, I mean, there's the Looney Bin Circus Act is not letting up. So yes, there's a lot of entertainment out there. But like we always say, especially now at the end of the year, everybody take care of yourself. Do what you do what you need to do to kind of have some you time and tune out the loony bin time that's out there. But outside of that, like I say, we're approaching the holidays. For some, it's a joyous time. For some, maybe not so much. And everyone has their personal reasons. So be considerate when you're dealing with people that may not be as happy as you about the holidays. It's not something personal against you. Not something necessarily personal against the holiday. It just, for some, certain dates, months, signify certain things that aren't happy for some people. So we need to be more understanding for those that aren't necessarily a Grinch on purpose, but they just don't want to be reminded what this time of year represents to them.
And for the record, I am a Grinch on purpose, and I do have a Christmas.
Yeah, but guess what? We're Tauruses. You know what? Puppers is a Grinch without being a Grinch.
Well, he was born on New Year's Eve, so that explains a lot.
Okay. Anything on merch? Not yet.
Merch is going to be on hold until 2024 just because of everything that is going on. I just don't feel right turning a profit.
Okay.
But there are links in my bio to help people that are in need over the holidays and people in other countries that are being displaced. It's just a moral decision right now. Just
okay.
I can pay my bills. So
well, the merch wasn't always about, trying to become, tops out there, but
yeah. No. But yeah. So.
Yeah, because puppers took your money anyways. So
I pin some antlers to the I'm going to. If I'm trying to find some antlers.
He needs to sit on an antler and see if it makes him feel better.
So because once I can't remember where I put it. Now I have the Grinch, the big poofy, fluffy Grinch sweatshirt, but I have a full Grinch outfit, like top and bottom. I just have to remember where I put it from last year.
Yeah, then we're gonna have some green hair.
No, we're just gonna keep slowly turning back in the storm.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
Because the last time I did green hair,
I think the turquoise one I like because it was like the Bahamas flag.
Yeah, the turquoise was nice, but the green for some reason on camera it did not show up. It kind of looks like somebody got sick on the top.
I go with the Bahamas hair.
Yeah, so the turquoise may make a comeback probably by the spring.
Woo!
See.
Yeah.
But
just in time for the Civil War movie.
Yeah. At least you saw it during the Civil War.
Here comes Bahamas.
But as always, thank you guys for joining us. And if you enjoyed this broadcast, make sure you bring a friend along with you tomorrow. Ooh.
How about that?
Fancy confetti. And as always,
I didn't know that.
Each one, teach one,
so
each
special.
One.
It's a ginger thing. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.